flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Late night in Moscow, where nothing ever happens. Night glancing in the moonlight, no escape. White night, Hyundai lurking, knife in the door.
Paranoid searches for a full vision ride. Under surveillance, nowhere to hide. Influence creeps like blood on the floor. Fine line between peace and war. From campus to crypt, the script flips tragic. Mystic and twisted, magic turn manic. Whole crew lingers, but the echo remain. Chains of the slain and eternal pain.
And here we go.
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What is going on, Hive? I hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday. I got Devil's Advocate backstage, as I always do on Mondays, and I'm very excited to talk to him. Those are always some of my favorite streams. And if you see the thumbnail in the upper right corner, tonight's theme is in honor of South Park and Cartman that says, "Respect my authority." And that was, depending on how much you watch South Park, either a really good impression or the worst you've ever heard. But it holds true because Idaho is not about justice. Idaho is about obedience, and you better respect our authority or we're going to crush you. We're going to shame you. How dare you ask questions? Ashley Banfield is our Christ and Savior. And that's what they've made their bed with. However, people like us, we refuse to shut up about it. If this is your first time tuning into the Hive Mind, I'm your host, Birdie. I go live every weeknight at 7 p.m. Central. This is a contrarian thinking live stream. So if you hate to think critically, if you take the headlines at face value and you just parrot them to your friends and act like you're smarter than everybody else because you saw when you logged onto your computer, the headlines pop up in the corner of your screen and you actually remember it. If that's all that you do, you're going to hate this stream. You're going to hate me. You're going to hate my guests. You're going to hate the chat. However, if you are the tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist in your friend group, you have found your people. You are amongst friends. Please hit that like button. Please hit subscribe if you have not already. We got a great one lined up for you this evening. We got so many questions in the Idaho 4 case. Questions that people, they all think, but not many people ask. For example, why did Dylan survive? Why did Ashley Jennings arrive within hours? Why is Kohberger's interview missing? Why are the prosecutors silent in regards to the facts, their own facts that they stayed on record? Why are there so many redactions? Why are the feds not talking? Why the 911 call delay? Tell me why the media is still obsessed with Bryan Kohberger in the most obvious case closed, so much evidence against this man, more than we've ever seen type of case for a lone wolf killer, wannabe serial killer narrative. And at the end of the day, it comes down to we are not allowed to ask, Hive. Because if we do, you're a conspiracy theorist. Anything outside of the press release is a conspiracy. They call you disrespectful. They call you a victim shamer. And they hate you. But we don't care, do we? We do not care at all. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say what's up to everybody. And then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring Devil's Advocates on up. What's up, Robin and Dina, Carol B, Sluther Dare. Love and Other Habits. New nickname. What's up, Essie? We got Amanda B from West Virginia. Discord Dawn. Not Lemmy Jamie. Jessica Lawing. Fiji, Donna Speaks Truth, Baby Ames, Critic Rick, Redman, Cryptic Conversions, Laura Smith, UFO Dog, Beauty Ashes, Cat Farm, Teresa, Real, Nikki Marie, Luna, Esther, Dina, Laura, formerly known as Beck, Penny, Mitchell. We got Bunny, Liana, Sue, Rihanna, Chrissy, Lynette, Laura, Jackie, Mitty Witty, Growth Renewal, Cats Mojo, good to see you. Aaron, Lisa, how are you doing? Zach, Mary Lou, Big Amish Media, how are you doing, man? Jane. We got 1984, Gabby Girl, Rachel, who lives near the ice wall, Crowned, Gang Gang, Becky Sterling, Cheryl, Aaron, Polka Dots, Trisha, Moonflower, Disney Form, Lisa Marie, Mississippi Woman, MISSISSSI, PPI, Woman, 5363 is tuning in. We got Miss Governor Pinkus. I just missed that. There we go. Blue Eyed Candy, good to see you as always. Higgy, Carrie Scott, Kathy, and Cookies Corner 420 is tuning in. Ample Spark, Dina, Cheesy Tater, Leela, 1-1. Well, as always, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring up Devil's Advocates right away because we have a lot to discuss this evening. Mr. Tiggle Bitties.
Let's go. Don't even start that way again. Yeah, I'm in a strange location. Yeah,
I can't help it.
I know it's a beautiful running gag, and I laugh like a freaking 15-year-old boy every single time I see him on screen. So it's
pause. When do you see him on screen?
I mean, when you pin Tiggle Bitties.
Oh, all right.
I mean, I did see him on screen when you put him on my channel in the Titty Killer video, but this is not the way to start this stream. I'm telling you, you don't start in the first 10, 15 seconds talking about bad words. The algorithm is still trying to figure out how to promote this show.
That's why the intro's long.
Good.
It's a secret.
Yeah, there you go. That's true. I hope it's not too echoey. I'm in a library out of town. It was so important to be at our regular show and to keep things going that I drove and put myself in a public library space, but it's a little echoey. I'm in a hollow room. Hopefully it sounds okay, but I'm here, so that's a good thing.
He sounds good to me, Hive. Type of one if he's all good with you.
I'm hoping.
I turned on the echo cancellation setting. Hopefully that's helping you guys. Okay. Rockaloo.
And I do want to say,
sounds great.
I do want to say thanks so much for, when we were at a lot of ones. So we have a lot of people in here. The tale of Tiggle Bitties. I get it. I get it. I get why you might think that it said that. That's hilarious.
It says Twin Cities. Depending on how tig those biddies are, they might be Twin Cities, if you know what I mean.
Do you know there's like a British phrase, a crack in Bristol's cities, which is something like a reference to it's a crack in Bristol cities is something with Tiggle Bitties.
Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. We have serious.
I have a lot of trivia about that stuff.
Well, that's okay. We love it. All right, man. So backstage, we were kind of talking about this theme of, respect my authority. Like, let me hear your best Cartman impersonation.
Respect my authority. I don't know. I'm not very good at
Oh my God, that was way better than mine. Do it one
I
more
still
time.
don't.
Do it,
I
do
still
it
have
all
it.
out.
I can't. I
Do
have
it again.
performance anxiety.
No, no.
You respect my torta. I don't know.
I think that
can't
was
do it.
better than mine.
I don't know. But yeah, I love Cartman when he does. That's one of my favorite lines too. The respect my authority. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
no. But I actually saw this in a comment on one of my videos. I don't remember what it was in regards to, but they had said this reminds me of this scene. So they inspired the thumbnail, they inspired the theme, because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that could be such an overarching theme. Since day one, public officials that have given us zero transparency, they have changed their story. They've changed what type of Elantra they're looking for. They've lied about where the DNA came from. They've,
Lied about when they
and that.
knew Kohberger's name, in my opinion. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it falls back to Cartman's saying, you better respect my authority. Because law enforcement is working hard. Like, that's one of the biggest things that pisses me off when it comes to any person. This is my own opinion. Don't get mad at me. There's working hard and there's struggling. But at the end of the day, if the needle is not moving in either direction, you can't get mad at the public for not addressing the hard work when there's no results. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah,
like everybody goes through that in any circumstance. It could be accounting, it could be nursing, it could be farming, it could be if results are not coming to the rest of the world, at the end of the day, nobody cares. That is a human instinct. That's just like the reality of it, in my opinion. I'm not trying to be a hard ass when I say that, but it's like, just because you work hard, if there's nothing coming out of working hard, well, then you're working hard at the wrong thing. So the only person you should be mad at is yourself for working hard at something that isn't getting results.
Yeah.
And that's harsh for a lot of people. But I believe that. Truly. Why work hard at something that is going in the wrong direction? Through and through, right? Like, tell me how working as hard as everybody did and exhausting all these resources in this case did anything good. And now they're upset and they'll go, well, we worked really hard. Well, you worked hard to run a shit investigation for no reason then.
Right. Yeah. Work smarter, not harder. You're trying to chop a tree down with your spoon. You could be working your ass off, but you're not, you're not making any progress. This whole thing, by the way, talk about things that aren't really popular to say. The more I look at this case, I really believe, at least as early as the 5th of December, I believe the FBI was co-located with Moscow Police Department. And I think they already felt like Kohberger was going to be involved. And so they were just going to make the case for it. I think this is what my best guess is. They thought he was involved and they were going to do their damnedest to make sure he didn't get away with it, because they couldn't prove it. And they're like, well, fuck that guy. We know he did it. So we're going to make sure he goes down for it. And that starts to muddy the water of what if he didn't do it? Yeah.
But that's the hard part. Do you really think that they believed Bryan Kohberger did this? That's what I'm starting to realize.
Yeah, there's a part of me that thinks that they did think he was involved from very, very early on, and they just couldn't prove it. And so I don't know how people feel about that. Like if they were convinced that he did it, is it okay? It's not. The answer is no, it's not okay. Is it okay for them to do whatever they can to make sure the bad guy gets caught, even if they have to break a few laws and bend a few civil liberties and whatever to get the guy, because they know he did it, and they're just not going to let him get away with it? Because that's where I feel like that's what they're going to play for, the moral high ground. If you ever catch us in the fact that we lied about this case, well, we were taking the moral high ground. We knew he was a bad guy and we weren't going to let him get away with this. So that's going to be their moral high ground. If they get caught lying, cheating, doing whatever they can to hide the thing, it'll be like, well, we wanted to make sure the bad guy went away. So
I agree with that in a lot of other cases. And I know you're not soft, and you can you could talk about this with me and not get offended. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, what you're saying is like, if you think this is just some incel loser who he stabbed 4 college kids because he was socially awkward or he was left out, right? After having a great PhD record. And let's say the feds did know that they did it or did know that he did it and they used some trickery. Well, on the back end of that trickery, there better damn well be some good evidence. And in this case, there's not. That's the only miss to what I think the general public is saying. We understand there can be overstep on rights, but you better back those oversteps up with.
And here's the thing, Bertie, like I don't know if I made this clear. If I'm right about my theory that they suspected Kohberger, I don't believe that they ever thought it was an incel that can't get laid and that's what the motive is. There's another motive.
Where did that come from?
And they know the other motive. And so that was all smoke and mirrors to convince the public because they don't want to talk about why Kohberger did it. Because that's the other part of the mystery. I believe the more I look at it, I believe they thought Kohberger was involved and they knew what it was and they didn't want to tell people what it was because that's the bigger scary part is why it happened and why Kohberger was involved. And so they made up the narrative of an incel who can't get laid and just randomly hit a house because a random act of violence is something you can excuse away as, hey, look, this is an outsider. It's never going to happen again. We don't have a problem on our campus. Keep sending your kids to our campus. There's nothing to see here. This was a one-off situation. If they had to admit it was a bigger thing, such as anything involving a rampant drug problem on campus or anything like that, then they have to admit that there's a big problem, and that's going to cost the university money. It's going to cost a whole bunch. And so I think that, again, in my theory, if they did suspect Kohberger, they never believed it was just a random incel kind of murder kind of thing. That's the cover story to get people to stop talking about what it really was.
Yeah. Well, I agree, but there has to, in my opinion, there has to become a point where we get past this. We have, like, if we're going to actually dive into, and I can hear an echo, by the way, DA. I don't know if you need to turn me down a little bit in your headphones.
Yeah, maybe. I'll do that.
But at the end of the day, one of the things that I said last night is like going into this week, we have to have a different mentality. We can appease everybody, right? And everybody is welcome in the hive. But it's like there's a difference between not being brought up to speed. There's a difference between not wanting to offend everybody. There's a difference between we look through all lenses, all things that I've addressed. And then there's, okay, I put way too many hours into this to just float like a plastic bag in the air after knowing kind of the things that have come out now with the documents that many people don't. I said this. I said the next time that Bryan Kohberger, if you're ever talking to somebody in person, if they ever tell you that he's guilty, I want you to ask them one simple question. Who is Josh Hurwitz? Who's Ashley Jennings? And if they can't answer that, you need to just, you know what I mean? Like ask them things that they should know.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's almost, I mean, I don't want to be rude to people, but it's a good point because what you're basically saying is if you can't answer some of those basic questions, then you're not qualified to give an opinion that Kohberger is the guy. Like if you can't answer the basic questions, see if they can even get right who's the lead prosecutor. If they can, that'll be a step in the right direction. If they can't do that, then they need to shut the hell up. And like you're not qualified to give an opinion on this case if you don't even know who prosecuted it, if you don't know a lot of the basic facts about it. Yeah, it's tough. So,
and it's like you and I are good people. Many people in here, if not all of them, are good people, with the exception of some of the trolls, right? So we don't want to be rude. We also don't want to be pussies and just get walked all over.
Yeah.
Because there does come a point where you got to draw a line in the sand where I know what I know. We know what we know. Can we stop being afraid to offend people just because they haven't looked into it and they're wrong? Because they have no problem leaving their comment. They have no problem saying it to your face. Well,
Right.
all right. And I've been done being afraid to do that because it doesn't help anything. It doesn't help anything. You play it safe to avoid a weird confrontation between you and another person that doesn't know anything.
Yeah. Right. Right.
You know?
Yeah, I to be fair, and I'm working on it myself actually, because to be fair, I was playing cards this weekend with a complete stranger that I'd never met before. They were invited to the house. My wife knew them, but I didn't know them. And something came up at the dinner table, game table, and she said, "Oh yeah, my husband, he does YouTube, and he's a true crime guy." And she's like, "Oh yeah, what case does he follow?" And she started out with, the Idaho 4. Oh, that creepy dude that killed all those kids. And I bit my tongue because I'm just like, your statement, that creepy dude who killed all those kids, I almost want to say that's what the media told you. Like that, it's like a brainwashed thing that comes out of your mind. Oh, it's that creepy dude that killed all those kids. I'm like, yeah, that's what they told you. And I'm sure your opinion about him, he's creepy, is because you saw a couple of photos where they manipulated the photos and made him look dark and sinister, or maybe that creepy ass smile with the face and whatever the fuck he was doing in his face. And so now he goes down in history as, oh yeah, it's that creepy dude that killed all those kids. And I'm like, once again, it's like, you're not qualified to talk about this case with me at the table. I mean, I don't want to be rude and sound like an arrogant prick. It's like, you're not going to sit at the table and have a discussion with me about this case and just start out with, he's the creepy dude that killed all those kids.
Right. There's obviously context.
Yeah.
But the challenge is now their ego is up.
Yeah.
Because they just said that.
Yeah.
You have to play not even your ego, just the facts of it down. And it's like, you got to say something like, you really think a PhD student with no history of violence, no motive, no confession, literally no direct link to the victims, wandered into a house and executed 4 people like Jason Bourne? Better than Navy SEALs might have. He left no evidence besides trace DNA. Literally. Yeah. And it's conveniently placed on a knife sheath button that they never found the knife for. They never found anything in his car. They never found anything in his apartment. They never found anything on his clothes. And he magically vanished while a roommate stood there and looked him in the eye. Are you fucking high? That's what I would say. I'm at that point, DA, to my buddies. I would ask them that.
I'm getting close. Like I'm still slightly more diplomatic. I might lead with, you really think one person can kill 4 people on 2 floors in 8 minutes and get out of the house without tracking any of the victim's blood out to his car? Like, does that actually make sense to you? That's where I might start with it. But you're right. Maybe more a blunt approach, like, are you a fucking moron?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, are you high? That's what.
Are you high?
It's like, no, you've been hypnotized by the media. That's what it is. You were hypnotized. You were convinced of a non-reality like version of the story.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job at it.
They did an amazing job for somehow. Yeah.
I mean, what I want to talk about with this whole respect my authority kind of topic tonight is that, in my opinion, is just as important as Bryan Kohberger walking free. Because if people don't understand why he does walk free or why he doesn't walk free, right? Either way, they need to see the smoke, the mirrors. They need to see all the distractions. My point is this. We can only help Bryan Kohberger so much that if we believe he's factually innocent, if the prosecution says that, right? Like, this is literally, was it the prosecution or the judge who said the infamous quote? Who said that?
Which infamous
the factually
quote?
Innocent.
It was well, the prosecution said Bryan Kohberger and his defense has maintained from the beginning that
That's
they were
what it was.
factually innocent.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But my point is this. He and his defense team didn't do shit. So it's like, let's say somebody is about to drown and you have a buoy and you're throwing them the buoy and you're like, grab onto the buoy. And there's people on the other side of the pool saying, no, he took swimming lessons when he was 4. He can swim. He factually has been trained to swim. And then he goes under and he dies. He should have
Right.
just grabbed the damn buoy
Yeah.
of people trying to help him. Do you know what I mean? That might have been a terrible example. I hope people get my point in that. It's like, if he's not going to grab onto the obvious things that are now released that you got to think he had access to before us. And so did his team.
I mean, I don't talk a lot about this, but I honestly, like, people ask me this. I feel like every day I get asked this question. DA, why, if he is innocent, would he plead guilty? He obviously did it. He pled guilty. Why would, and if you are right, DA, and there's all these holes in the case and it's all circumstantial, then why the hell would he plead guilty? If you're right, Bethany Funk has exculpatory information, why the hell doesn't he demand she come into the courtroom and tell it? Why? And they ask me all the time. I honestly believe the answer is as simple as this, and it's the part that I don't talk about a lot. I believe Kohberger's parents and Kohberger's defense team realized they were never going to get a fair trial. He was doomed. They were going to execute him. And I think Kohberger's mom begged him, let me have my son. At least if you live the rest of your life in jail, I have my son. I can talk to you every day. But they will kill you. They will kill you if you go to trial. And so I think Kohberger was planning on fighting it all the way to the last minute until they brought his parents out from Pennsylvania and they put pressure on his parents, and his parents begged her son, live, just live. We'll have something, because if they kill you, I'm going to lose my son. And so I think he caved to his mom. That's my gut feeling. He caved to his mom and he's like, okay, I'll take the plea deal. Like, I can fight this, but if I lose and it looks like I'm going to lose, they're going to kill me. So and then I know people don't think that's what happened, but there's a part of me that feels that's exactly what happened. His mom begged him to take the deal.
None of us know what happened.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't tell me that the mother and father of Bryan Kohberger, this serial killer that's been accused of doing all this, wouldn't be able to easily get in front of any news camera that they would want to plead his innocence.
Sure. Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
Like I'm asking parents, if your son or daughter is in Bryan Kohberger's position and is genuinely being framed, how are you not screaming this from the rooftops, at least halfway through whatever is happening right now? You clearly see what's happening. You got to go a different route. What advice are you getting? It's terrible advice. And who's ever advising you to not start going to the media when you know damn well every single person would take your interview. Do you know what I mean? And people want to say the parents are afraid. The parents are this, the parents are that. Do we have any single proof of that? Seriously, do we? I'm asking for an example just for the sake of the conversation. Has anybody seen a single threat to them? Have they said they've been threatened? Has Ann Taylor said this? Nobody said that. Right? In the same way, it's like that is an internet rumor, which is exactly the kind of rumors that got Bryan Kohberger convicted at the same time. Playing devil's advocate.
The counter is this. Here's the thing. If his parents don't know anything more about this case than we do, then they can say all day long to the top of their lungs, my son didn't do it, but it's Dick. It doesn't mean Dick. They don't have proof that he didn't do it. And at the end of the day, what they're saying is, we're going to prove he did do it. So I guess what I'm saying is, it'd be one thing if the parents had exculpatory information. If the parents had something they can prove their son didn't do it, then yeah, any parent would be screaming to the top of their lungs and getting on every national TV they can to say, I can prove to you he didn't do it. But they don't have that because I don't think the parents know exactly what happened either. So all they're left with is, again, you're going to kill my son. You're going to convict him of this, of that. And so what are they going to do? They're going to scream he's innocent while he's also screaming he's innocent, and they're still going to put him to death because it seems obvious they're going to put him to death.
My point is this. There's no proof he did it. And there's no proof he did it. And I would pray to God that I would be blessed with parents that would have my back in this situation. This ungodly situation that if I looked them in the eye and I go, Mom, Dad, I didn't do this, that they would go out there and do everything they could to bring eyes to this. You know what I mean? So there's like this human factor of like the normal family, like believe your son. If he's on the spectrum, like where is this? Where is this? Nothing is. He's got great grades. He's a great student. He's never been in trouble. He doesn't drink. He got clean, whatever. You can make so many arguments.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like I see your point. I see your point, because if they don't know, but also one would argue they've known their son his entire life. He calls his mom every morning. Or like, there's an argument to be made that what I'm saying this to you is not to disagree.
Well,
rather debate. Let me just finish this point. I just want to say, to debate this, what would a reasonable parent do? Just like what would a reasonable person do if you were Dylan and Bethany? You would say something if you believed your child was innocent.
Yeah.
I would think.
But let me word it this way and see if it changes your mind at all. Okay. Here's your choice. Say that your son is innocent and shout it from the rooftop. My son is innocent. You've got nothing on him. You can't prove anything. He's innocent, and fight. But if you're going to take that route, I'm going to flip a coin. Heads comes up heads, your son's dead. Comes up tails, he lives. Or you can just say he did it and he lives. That's your choice. You can scream to the end of the day that he's innocent, and we'll flip a coin. He either lives or dies. You don't know which way it's going to go. He might live, he might die. But if you say he did it, 100% guaranteed he lives. I lean towards some family members are going to say, I'd rather have my son guaranteed to live than take a coin flip that you're going to execute him.
I agree to an extent. Living behind bars for 4 consecutive life sentences in an 8x10 cell when you're innocent is not living.
Yeah.
Especially like that's where I would put my faith in God. I would put my faith in something, and I'd be like, I know I didn't do this, and I'm going to hope that these jury members see that. And I think they would have in this case. And
I want to go on the record with that too. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The reason why we didn't have a trial is because Kohberger would have made a really good argument, and there's a good chance he would have gotten off on it. And that's why the prosecution was stunned when Kohberger offered the plea deal or was willing to take it. And they're like, and they even said, I can't believe he actually said it. Take it. They'll take it because they knew they were in deep shit too. There was a good chance that they were going to lose. The prosecution knew there was a good chance they were going to lose. And so they were just as stunned as everybody in America when Kohberger said he'll take the deal.
Right. But and I know you know this, defendants don't get to decide if they get a plea deal. It has to be offered to them.
Yeah. Yes.
So why would the state, with all this damning evidence, not just make this continued spectacle and say, we're going to put him in the murder room? Try us.
Yeah.
And then their story is this. We're not going to try to theorize on what happened. We can't put him in the house. There's no connection to the victims. He never stalked them. He cleared his phone regularly. Nothing in his criminology studies ever pointed to the fact that he would look into anything that other criminology students looked into. My point is, like, there has to come a time where if Bryan Kohberger did this, there's got to be the most glaringly obvious miss of a lifetime on like hundreds of people who are hands on this case that they missed, because they would have tied his ass to it in a knot by the balls if he was. And what did they have? They had a tip of IgG.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it seems too easy. You're like, can I ask you this? Put yourself in Bryan's shoes without even the plea deal, anything. Actually, put yourself in a lawyer's shoes that's coming in to defend him now, is where I'm going. Doesn't this seem a little too easy to prove reasonable doubt? Like, can I ask you this? What would your one thing be that would keep him there? I don't know what you would say.
What do you mean by what's the one thing that would keep him there?
Let's say it goes to another trial. What do you think that we been shown could keep him there. And chat, please, or Hive, please, if you got anything.
The only thing, and I don't honestly, I don't have a good answer, because I think Kohberger walks if it goes to trial. I think they knew he walks if it goes to trial. The only thing they remotely have, really, beyond a mountain of circumstantial evidence, which isn't enough, is the so-called single source DNA of Bryan Kohberger inside the house. And I think had they been allowed to challenge that, which they have to if it goes to trial, a jury would have a problem with the IgG information. And so I don't see how he does stay in jail if it went to a jury, because I think a jury would have seen too many problems, too many holes, too many inconsistencies. The jury would have freaked out. The jury would have freaked out on Dylan and Bethany's 8-hour delay on that whole thing. They would have freaked out about that. And that would have caused reasonable doubt on its own. Just that alone would have caused reasonable doubt about what really happened. So I don't see a scenario in which if he went to court, the only reason why he's behind bars is because he took a plea. Because I don't think if he went to trial that he would be there.
Yeah, it's such a mind-boggling thought process, because in a weird way, I think a lot of people have this. If that was me, I can reason with the fear of the death penalty. You know what I mean? Like, that's such an intimidating dynamic of this.
Yeah. The death penalty
media
scares a lot of people into plea deals.
90 to 95% of cases don't go to trial. And here's another thing that I wanted to bring up tonight. I know you can think deep, and I know you can be loyal to the foil when it comes to going
Loyal
down
to
these.
the foil.
Yep. Is it a stretch to think that the reason why Bryan Kohberger, if he's a Fed, was picked to play a role? Okay, I want to only look through this lens for the next 5 minutes. Please entertain me, okay. Hive, and you as well. I know you would. But wouldn't you pick somebody that does fit this entire narrative that they've painted? But then you look at his papers, and I read a lot of this stuff actually over this weekend. Like, I was looking at screenshots for whatever was visible that I could read when I zoomed in. If you were going to have a cover story, like, could you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, 3 birds with 1 stone, 4 birds with 1 stone, where it's like you have a cover story to take down a trafficking route. You show that so many cases go to trial without enough evidence because people are forced into plea deals and scared. They never get a chance to be judged by their peers. And then you not only have a guy who has more reasonable doubt than anybody in recent high-profile cases ever, writing papers about all of this.
I will say this, and to follow your exercise of, let's assume for a minute Kohberger is a Fed or was working with the Feds. I will tell you one thing that I feel about Kohberger on why he'd be the perfect person for this is because I don't think Kohberger really gives a shit that much what people think about him. I think he's kind of a little bit of a loner, kind of like they said. He doesn't really care what people think about him. And so he's the perfect kind of person who would have no problem. Let America think I'm a horrible murderer that killed 4 kids. I don't give a shit. I don't care what people think about me. I know inside my own soul that I didn't do it. This is all just an operation that they've paid me to do. It's an agreement we made, and I'll be that guy because I don't really give a shit what they think about me. So there's a part of me that thinks that if he was working with the Feds, he's the kind of guy that really doesn't care, is not afraid to say he did something he didn't do because he could give a shit what you think about him.
I should go throw my tinfoil hat on and play that song. I don't have it loaded up, and I don't want to stand up right now, but it's... Is Bryan Christopher Kohberger a real person? DA. He was born.
You mean
the
like
same
an assumed identity?
DA. He was born the same year that I was.
Yeah.
Do you know how many pictures are on the internet of myself from youth sports teams that I never put on? From newspaper articles, from honor roll, whatever it is. He's such a good student. Doug, you should be able to find something.
Yeah.
You find nothing. You find a fat
One
version of
high
him
school
doing
photo,
push-ups.
Yeah, right.
And then all of the selfies that look like they have a green screen backdrop, background removed. I mean, I'm serious. At what point do we ask this?
Yeah.
And then you think about all those different versions of him that I've shown on the screen. Was that with you that I did that?
No. Mm-mm.
Dude.
I saw your thumbnail where he had a whole bunch of his different faces and profiles and pictures and stuff, but
Well, yeah, it's like, let me see if I can quick find that. It was pretty recent.
and yeah, that's the one I remember seeing. Yeah.
Okay. This guy right here. This guy looks like starting quarterback. This guy looks like Adam Lanza. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this guy looks different. I mean, I get it. There's aging. Like there's aging. Okay. Name one world that this person is this person. That this person is this person. That this person is that person. That this person is this person.
Yeah.
These two people even. I mean, they look alike. Kind of.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, so now let me ask you this. This is where, again, my tinfoil hat goes on. I don't care. If anything, I feel like my people like myself, I have the green light to go as big of a conspiracy theorist on this case, way more than I ever have before because of the documents. At this point, there is a green light and you're just like, send it. Just go.
Yeah.
Whatever comes in your brain, you don't even have to think about. Just say
Phone
that
it
shit.
in.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. So it's like, are they putting out different variations of how he looks? Are they only putting out variations of how Ethan was younger because of these people in witness protection so you can't recognize them? Are they showing you a bunch of different faces of how they look so that if you do come across somebody, you'd be like, well, that looks like Bryan Kohberger. Well, that looks like Bryan Kohberger. Well, that looks like Bryan Kohberger. Well, this looks like Bryan Kohberger. Why are they showing an 8th grade picture or a freshman year high school picture of Ethan? He's got a mustache and he's 6'4".
Right.
Dude, like, it's not funny, but it's like, is that a tactic?
Right. For sure. Yeah.
Girls and makeup and hair color might be easier to change, like, without Photoshop. It maybe, I don't know. Right. But I would think like girls tend to change the way that they look more than men would on average. Right. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I would think like whenever I see pictures of myself from high school to now, I just look older. I think, whatever. That could just be my opinion as a guy. So don't get offended if you're a girl. I'm sorry. But I'm trying to say, like, most guys, their visual appearance changes, hair length, beard. I don't know. That's not coloring, makeup, whatever it is. And this seems like a perfect example of what I have on the screen of that. It's just hair length, eye color, facial hair. They're very simple changes. Same thing with Ethan. It's just aging.
Yeah.
I don't know.
At this, this case, man, and like you said, at the point that when more and more documents and more information comes out, the case gets worse. At this point, what can't you say about the case and not have a better story than the story that they put out?
Dude, I would only say this with you on stream. I think I said this the last time because you brought up your whole 4 brothers from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
At this point, the conspiracy of Bryan Kohberger being a quadruplet is on the table. And they've got 4 of his clones and twins.
He's been
You know what I
cloned
mean?
in the lab.
It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. That's
Yeah.
just as crazy as him being convicted.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so anyways, my whole point in saying this, DA, is, do you think that people like myself, and I know you are more reserved outside of the times that you come into the hive, but it's like, do we need to shift from theorizing at how it's anybody but him and just shift to, this is a bunch of BS from the authorities that are public officials? And is that what gets him and wakes other people up? Or do you think people still need to have this grand reveal of proof?
I don't know, man. Like, I mean, they're putting out movies now. You know, they're putting out movies showing, you know, as a horror movie, a slasher film and shit. It's just going to cement in people's head more and more as time goes by that the narrative is true, because now they're going to show you the movies showing how it happened.
And why do you think Kaylee's family is fighting that?
You have a
Okay.
theory?
I have 2. One, people are going to get butthurt on. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. It's going to offend people. And I'm not trying to. I'm just saying there's sick and twisted ways of guerrilla marketing out there. Okay. You could say you hate this. How dare you? I'm going to try to ruin this girl's career who's acting as Maddie and Kaylee, and they're posting TikToks and it goes viral. Guarantee you, everybody that sees that, if that Oxygen, you know, right, it was Oxygen or Lifetime, if they release that, everybody that has an opinion on that, let's be honest, they're watching that shit. Right?
You think? Ah, God. Yeah.
That's the dark theory. That's like the
Yeah.
guerrilla marketing of like, whoa, that's weird, but
I don't know, man. I had to be, yeah, I don't know,
because
man.
you can't say you're going to sue them for defamation.
Yeah.
There's no lawyer that would ever let you go on if you were actually going to make a case for defamation. And I'm saying this respectfully to anybody that's going to try to sue a corporation like Oxygen, Lifetime, Amazon, Dateline, anybody else. Okay. It is a public news story. The facts are public, and there are tens of thousands of these out there. It goes back to this whole, like, I'll turn on Netflix and I will see blood spattered all over walls with a body
Right.
and his
Right.
eye missing
Right.
on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, the argument is outdated, and it doesn't just apply to one case. It's been going on for so long, and that's what bothers me. Is not and if they believe that, they have bad friends. They have bad people surrounding them that tell them that there's something to actually have a case made on that.
Oh.
What?
Oh, you just went silent on me, and I was like, what the hell?
No, I was pausing for you to respond. Like, in the terms of like, it sucks to say this, but they're not the first family. None of them are that have had docuseries made about them that the families probably don't want.
Right. Right. But, oh God, this is such a touchy area. Like, how is it fair? Like, I don't even know how to treat this in a way that can make sense. How is it fair that the families get to shame everyone for talking about the case and for speculating about the case and for making movies about the case or whatever. And yet 2 of the family members goes and represents Othram Labs and travels the entire country talking about how they're the spokesman and the face of this whole thing, telling their story. Like, why is it okay? You know what I'm saying? Why is it okay for them to, or any of the families to quote unquote profit off of the thing through lots and tons of donations and stuff like that, and then shame everybody for talking about, like, I feel like we had a whole huge double standard that the victims are the victims, and and anything they do is beyond reproach, and everybody else is a piece of shit, but they can profit off of it, and they can talk about it, and they can promote a new company and be the face of the company, and we can launch, whatever the hell we want, or new venture, or new GoFundMe, or whatever the case may be, and totally okay. But anybody else who talks about it is a piece of shit for talking about it, and you're not allowed to talk about it. I find the whole thing horrible.
Well, and so if anything, maybe that the conversation that we're having right now starts to shift towards, how do you change that?
Yeah.
Well, you have to put one or the other of very, very strict rules in place. You know what I mean? There can't be gray zones. In a weird way, gray zones are where society should actually live in. But for whatever reason, we want to get rid of all the gray zones. We want one or the other. And then 50% of people like this side, 50% of people hate that side. In reality, everyone's really in the gray zone depending on the situation. There should be a judgment call. Okay. There are stories where, like the new series about the blind torture kill, he talks about, I tied them up. I did this to them. I used this on them. I did that. Guys, we couldn't even get an unredacted 911 call.
Right.
They're showing photos of these people.
Yeah.
From his stashes. And let me remind you, this is from the 80s, the 90s, back when they didn't have digital stuff.
Yeah.
And they could show you the entire story. They will show you how damn near Bonnie and Clyde did it back in whatever year that was. But this is a mystery. So to me, I don't know what direction to take this case anymore. I believe that it's obvious any capable lawyer could get Bryan Kohberger out of jail. I really do. I think any capable lawyer in a fair jury, truly 12 everyday people that they didn't get threatened, whatever it is, I believe Bryan Kohberger would be out.
What I wish, it's funny because I talk a lot about law, and I wish I knew the answer to this because I'm speaking out my ass, and I feel like I know quite a bit about how law works. What I wished we were able to do as a community was that we could somehow raise money to hire an attorney who would put somebody on the stand for perjury. You perjured yourself in this case. You lied about this. Let's prosecute. All we need is an attorney willing to take the case up. Say, so-and-so perjured themselves on the stand. Go after them. We'll pay you. We'll pay you to put the person on the stand. And I want to see that happen but I don't know I don't know if just anybody can go out and hire a lawyer, and whether a lawyer will take that thing up and go, okay, well, if you pay me, I'll put Payne on the stand, and I'll try to go after him for perjury for saying that he didn't know who Kohberger was until the 19th when we can prove he knew about him on the 5th. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Okay. I hate that I'm saying this to you. I feel like it's making good conversation because I'm not trying to go on the other side and play devil's advocate to just everything you're saying. I'm trying to think, and that wasn't even meant to be a pun. But I really mean this, and let me just read this super chat from Love and Other Habits. Thank you so much. If BK didn't do it, what solid evidence exists against anyone else? Or we won't know because they ceased investigating others. When we review, we nearly find the answers, yet more questions emerge.
Well, wait. I just had a brainstorm. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. One thing I can tell you, in the Long Island serial killer case, Shannon Gilbert, right? Somebody hired an attorney, got permission. Now, this is not going to happen. This is a long stretch, but they got permission to re-exhume Shannon Gilbert's body and look to see if she really drowned. Because remember the police in that case said that she drowned, right? And so they hired Baden to do an autopsy, and he found that the hyoid bone in her bone was broken, indicating that she had been strangled, and she had no indication of water in her lungs. Why can't somebody say, I want to test Bryan Kohberger's blood against the knife sheath on the back of the knife. They're never going to do it. But why can't somebody reopen that investigation? Why can't somebody say, you know what, I'll pay for the forensics testing for this guy to be tested against that knife and do it?
You know
I don't
what?
know.
Let me just say this. Bryan Kohberger shouldn't have to prove who did it.
Right. Correct. Right.
Bryan Kohberger should just have to show that his ass wasn't in the house. And if I'm not in the house, I didn't commit these murders. Case over. You have no case. I want to hit that a million times. You make a great point. Never in America should you have to prove your innocence. That's what people are forgetting. Bryan Kohberger's job isn't to prove to you he didn't do it. It was your job to prove the prosecution that he did do it. And what did they say? We can't place him in the house. We don't know how he picked the victims. We don't know how he got there. All I can do is put him somewhere near the house. They told you that. Never in a million years does Bryan Kohberger have to prove his innocence to you. That is not how the system is supposed to work. He's assumed or presumed innocent until proven guilty. You do not have the burden of the proof. The state has the burden of the proof. We are convoluting Bryan Kohberger's defense and the investigators' work. Seriously, we are combining them. We are saying that the investigators and Bryan Kohberger's defense is one, when in reality it's not. Bryan Kohberger's defense is, can you prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this man did this? And you know what? If you can't, he walks free. And then if there's new evidence that emerges, well, then you send his ass to the brink forever. But they didn't do that. Okay? And that's a huge issue. Bill Thompson went to, but somewhere, depending on which AI, which search engine you use, went to 1 to 3 trials in a 33-year period. Dude, how?
Right, because you're right. And that, oh my gosh, I don't know the numbers, so I hope you're right. I'm going to take you at your word on that. But
I believe it's somewhere between 1 and 3. Like some people say 1. Yeah.
Anytime you see, this should be a red flag for anyone. The same kind of thing, again, happened in the Long Island serial killer case. Anytime you see a district attorney or a prosecutor who almost never goes to trial and keeps putting people away, you can guarantee they've got some tricks up their sleeve to get people to plea out. That's how they're doing it. If you see them constantly convicting people and winning stuff without ever having to go to trial, they've got tricks up their sleeve. And you almost always see corruption, in my opinion, in those kind of things. You'll find out later on, there's a reason why they have an ungodly conviction rate or an ungodly success rate, because they've got tricks up their sleeve to compel people to take plea deals. But that's my soapbox.
No, I don't even think it's a soapbox, bro. Bryan Kohberger should have to worry about one thing and one thing only, and that is showing that he himself did not commit these crimes. This alternate perpetrator bullshit, guys, I don't even think that that's ever been done in the U.S. prior to his case. That was done in like Nazi Germany, actually.
It's disgusting. In Idaho, and I don't know how many states are like this, it is disgusting. You actually have to prove that your alternative suspect could have done it, which is funny because you can't even prove Bryan Kohberger did it. But somehow, in order to interject an alternative suspect, you must be able to prove that they did it or come damn real close. You have to have really good evidence. You can't just speculate that someone did it. And here's the thing: like I've said it before. If you look at the law, it required more proof to suggest someone other than Kohberger did it than to accuse Kohberger in the first place. And how is that fair to Bryan Kohberger? So I can't just lay out to you why a jealous ex-boyfriend would be a better option, why somebody who maybe was mad that the parents' kids in the house for turning on drug dealers might have been a better option. I can't give you any of those theories for a jury to say, maybe there's a better explanation than an incel who can't get laid. I'm not allowed to say that because I have to come up with a bigger story than a bigger story than what? A bigger story that I went to Mad Greek restaurant, maybe, but you can't prove it. And maybe Maddie was there that night, but you can't prove it. And maybe I saw her, but I couldn't have her and you can't prove that. And maybe that drove me nuts. So I had to go kill 4 kids in a house. That's the story that you're going to go with, and you're okay with laying that narrative out without any fucking proof or receipts whatsoever. But if I want to say maybe it was somebody else, well, you need some proof on that shit. You need some proof on that shit.
Right.
What the fuck is wrong with that? Sorry,
No,
Gotta quit
you're
dropping
good.
F-bombs.
And
But-
no, like Westerly Wander says Kohberger was part of it. Okay. I don't think that you're in strange company for floating that idea out. Unfortunately, by you saying this, it really shows, unless you're talking about some sophisticated operation, that you haven't read the documents. You know what I mean? Like when you have to say Kohberger was a part of it at this point, you have to think on a very high level of he's a Fed, he's doing this as some sort of protected asset, because there's nothing that shows he was a part of this in any way, shape, or form. And that comes from the prosecutors and the investigators' mouth. Like,
And
that is the reality of it.
right. And let's not forget, I realize not everybody feels this way, but even if, and I'm not sure you can prove it.
hang on. Okay. You've read them. And so which part are you saying? Because I have this thing locked and loaded right now. Okay. Are you saying it's on a 40,000 foot view? This is an operation. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Westerly Wander, you're in front of 1,000 people right now. What's your answer? All right, let's see, Hive. Drum roll, everybody. No! They have not read the court documents. Final answer. All right, go ahead, DA.
I lost my original point, and that's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's okay. It's all right.
No, and also, by the way,
I was going to
I'm
say,
not-
I
wait,
know what
no,
it
let
was.
me
I know what it
finish
was.
my point. Sorry,
Okay,
let me finish
yeah,
my point.
yeah.
I'm not saying that's proof that Bryan Kohberger's a Fed. He could absolutely just get being like bent over the barrel and shown the 50 states.
Yeah.
There's no proof that Bryan Kohberger's involved, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I'm also not saying that my mind can't be changed. Show me. Show me that he was there in any way, shape, or form. Has anybody put him at the scene? Is his license plate there? Is it his car? Did he stalk them? Is there a social media connection? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's
Go ahead.
horrible, man. It's horrible because people continue to repeat stuff that even the prosecution admitted on the stand. No, there is no evidence of stalking. He wasn't stalking the girls. And yet I will still hear people around the card table. Oh yeah, he was stalking the girls. Really? Because the prosecution even admitted he wasn't stalking the girls. You know, oh, well, he was obsessed with Maddie. Really? Because even the prosecution told you they have no proof he ever saw Maddie, ever knew who she was. Like, literally, how about the Dateline NBC thing where Bryan Kohberger's account on Instagram suggests that he was liking Maddie's photos with the screen on top saying there's no verifiable evidence this account was actually Bryan Kohberger's account. They literally had it on screen. We can't verify this was Bryan Kohberger's account. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to put it all over TV. He was stalking Maddie Bogan, and he was putting his thumbs up and liking her photos. A little tiny print at the top. Can't verify this is actually his account.
Yeah.
But you'll fucking
No,
say
it's
it.
crazy.
And people are like,
It's
oh, yeah,
crazy.
he was stalking him.
And this is the last time that I'm giving Westerly Wander another last chance. But mods, don't ban him or her, they, whatever the hell the pronoun is for that. Just, okay, let it go. This person's clearly drinking a lot of tap water. They're over fluoridated. They need help.
Over Florida.
They need help. It's like let me cue that commercial when you're up way too late and it's like in the arms of an angel. And right now for this price you could save Westerly Wander's brain. You can get him a water filter and prevent over fluoridation. And you can get him a streaming package to not watch Ashley Banfield show Bryan Kohberger's muffin top. And maybe, just maybe, he'll actually read the court documents and not lie about it in the hive mind. Okay.
Here's the worst.
Continue.
Here's the worst part, though. Here's the worst part. Like what they were saying on the screen was, you're going to all find out. We are not going to find out. Here's the problem. We're not going to find out because there's no trial. There will never be a trial. All you have is a guilty plea. No one's ever going to find proof that he did it other than you saying, by default, he did it because he said he did. That's it. So there's nothing new we're going to find out. However, there still is a chance that we're going to find out that the story didn't happen the way it did, because somebody might finally put together all the dots on all the lies and the shit that was told to make somebody look like they did something that they may not have done. So the only person who has a chance of proving anything is us, because again, nothing's new going to come out. There's going to be no trial. Nothing's new going to come out that's going to convince you now that Bryan Kohberger was the person. At least I don't feel so. I guess maybe we'll get shocked. Maybe someday somebody will come out with video footage that Dylan has on her phone of Bryan Kohberger actually stabbing somebody in the house, and it's been hidden all this time. And here's the video of him actually holding the knife doing it. Maybe that's going to happen, but I fucking don't hold my breath on that shit.
Well, and why don't you address Sky Blue Eyes first? Thank you for the super chat, by the way.
The disadvantage the defense has until this trial. Prosecution has all the power. See, that's just the thing. It's not, the system is absolutely 100% designed the other way. The prosecution has a lot of power. They have the full power of the law enforcement. They have government funds. They have a lot of money. And because the prosecution is stacked against a person, that is exactly why the presumption of innocence is on the defendant, because you don't have a chance against all the money and the power unless you start from the position you already are innocent and you don't have to prove your guilt. Yeah. They have to prove your guilt.
Well, it just goes back to this. At this point, DA, I could say that you went and you murdered somebody because I think you did it. That's it.
Yeah.
Really. You know you didn't do it. You might have so many other alibis. But for whatever reasons, the media jumps on it. The FBI sees you as a target that, thank God, there's somebody like DA that maybe he is new to that area. He doesn't know many people. He's obsessed with big tits. It's creepy.
Yep.
Like, I'm just
I can spin that story. Yeah.
That's my whole point. I'm trying to make light of a shit situation. But what I mean is they put you in the middle of a likelihood ratio of 6 people that have been counted out. Then what do you do?
Right.
And you're still on trial.
I know. And I don't have time for this right now because, one, I only reserved this room for about another 10 minutes and I need to wrap up because I'm at the library and somebody else is going to need this room. But I have to say this. One of the things, as a side tangent, one of the things people should be scared about is when your government mass surveils everyone in your country, collects massive databases of everything you do and everywhere you move and everything you do online, then just kind of like you are joking, oh, well, we know this DA guy and he likes Tiggle bitties and this killer liked Tiggle bitties. We can place it on him. When they've got data on everyone, you should be afraid that if they ever decide somebody needs to go down for this crime, let's search through our database and let's do AI. Let's run AI through this. And who has enough data points that we can make it look like that guy did it? I can tell a story because I got 27 connection points that DA fits that can make it look like he's the killer. And all I have to do is sell it on NBC, sell it on ABC, tell a good story, and everyone in America will buy it and he'll go down and everybody will sleep better at night.
The Twin Peaks killer, the TPK.
Right?
Right? Like, but I want to talk about Master Nature in this comment here. Dylan, I cannot tell you what was real or what was a dream. Therefore, the question is, gee, Dylan, how do you know then you didn't kill your friends? Nobody asked this question of her. Now, very logical people, just like last night on stream when I was showing these police reports about they might have fudged the date that a car accident happened. They go, they wouldn't be able to do that. The insurance needs accurate dates. I was trying to not be mean, but I'm like, you don't understand. The feds don't give a damn. The feds don't play in the same confines of our matrix.
No.
To Master Nature's point, and I'll give this comment credit to people, like in my brain, I see this as you're right. If they want to get nuts and they want to accuse somebody of not being a suspect after not calling 8 hours, after 4 people get stabbed to death and you see their autopsies and you see the wounds and you went back to sleep. Again, are you fucking high? Is my question to them. My follow-up would be this. Well, how do you know you didn't kill him if you don't know what's real or fake? So you know what? It's like, where's that?
Yeah.
It's like, that is a top dog question. Like, you got to fight fire with fire. If you want to give us this absolute dog shit, then let me ask you a dog shit question right back. I mean, but actually, is it even that far-fetched? You have somebody saying, I don't know what's real. I don't know what's fake. I was watching Criminal Minds. It could have been a dream. It could have been Vampire Diaries. I don't really know.
Right. Yeah. It's a great question. It's a great question. And one that, rhetorically, you should ask, like, how do you, if there's so much you don't
Rhetorically,
know
that's
about
the word
this,
I was looking for. Yes.
yeah, if there's so much you don't know about this, then how do you know that you didn't do it and you're just imagining that somebody else did it? I mean, it's a good question.
Well, and
Really.
and how much time you got left?
I got about 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, then why don't you close out with this? Why don't you give us your thoughts on where we are at today, given all of these documents being released and still not being able to piece together this person was here, that person was there, and feel like you're confident in it. And that means that maybe this person showed up and then they committed the crimes and then they fled this way. Have you ever seen so many documents and so much security footage and so much audio, so many interviews and so much press conference, and you can't even begin to piece together the actual crime?
No, I think for the first time, it's funny because when Kohberger pled guilty, I said, well, that's it. We're done. Like, how long are we going to keep talking about a case that he just pled guilty to? I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm saying he pled guilty. Once he pled guilty and there was going to be no trial, I thought, regardless of whether or not I think he did or didn't do it or he was forced to plea, once he pled, that's it. There's no one going to go to trial. However, I have to say this. The more documents that come out, the more footage that comes out, the more shit like they did just recently where they show that they knew Bryan Kohberger's name on the 5th when they lied on the stand saying they didn't know about him until the 19th. I'm starting to get hopeful that something is going to break eventually on this. For the first time, I actually think there's a possibility something's going to break. And I didn't think it was possible before, but the community won't let it go. You guys won't let it go. You guys are like fucking pit bulls. And it's in a way, it's like, well, bless your heart, because somebody might actually finally get that like, how the fuck do you explain that? Oh, we're already there. How the hell do you explain telling us on the stand you didn't know who Kohberger was till the 19th, and now you have it on a date where there's 2 suspects, one name's redacted and one's Bryan Kohberger unredacted on the 5th. How do you explain that? And they're not explaining it. Somebody's gonna, I hope to God somebody finds a way to force this to be addressed. Somebody's got to force them to address it.
And at what point?
If I was a protester, I would fucking put a sign and I'd go stand in front of Moscow Police Department thinking, please explain to me how you knew about his name on the 5th. Please explain. I just put that up, and I'd invite TV channels to come down and watch me hold the sign up in front of MPD. How do you explain that you knew about his name on the 5th? You know?
Right. Oh, well, I want to know that too. You know what I mean? Like, how did they know? And Brady violations, every detective should know about those. You know what I mean? Every police officer should know about that. Ashley Jennings is at the crime scene. Brett Payne, the lead detective, isn't wearing a body cam. Why can the prosecutor and the lead detective be at a crime scene 5 hours beforehand, a month before Bryan Kohberger's arrested, before he has an attorney, before Ann Taylor even knows they are defending somebody? Make that make sense. Guys, this is America, and that is such a weird thing to yell because it might be hopeless, but we have something to hold on to when we can at least say that. This is not what America is supposed to be. If you have reasonable doubt by your peers that say there might be somebody else that does it, that's a guardrail in our justice system. We're not a land of laws. We are a land of justice. We are a land of justice. You are judged by your peers. They decide it. And by having 90 to 95% of cases never go to trial, that is not your peers nor the justice system in how America was designed to function legally should be happening like this. It shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, I probably need to bail. Is Pavarotti in here? I saw somebody said, "Hey, Pav," and they got Pavarotti ID. Is that Pavarotti's actually in dropped in? Do I have to go literally when Pavarotti is dropping into your live right now?
He pops in every now and again. I don't know if he is in here. I haven't seen him.
Well, that is.
It'd be cool if he is, because I will say that one of the things is like I don't get to watch all of Pav's videos, right? I don't know if everybody could watch all of his videos, and that's not saying that it for one reason or another. My point is this: you can't say from a meticulous combing through that he's not somebody through the camera you can question about work and work ethic and his true opinion. We were kind of talking about this, or we have talked about this, right, DA, where it's like, I mean, dude, he's absolutely held to his guns on this. Right. And now he's saying, he's also pointing out they might have plugged in Bryan Kohberger's name. You've said similar things in your theories with Four Brothers and Pennsylvania and all that stuff. But it's like, I agree. There has to be a point where anybody covering the Idaho 4 starts to say, this is over. This is over. Any capable attorney shall be able to prove this is over. At least the case we've been told.
There are certainly things that I think can be prosecuted. I just don't know how a person hires that lawyer, because there are things that there are people who have perjured themselves, in my opinion. There are people who can be gone after, but you gotta have the funds to hire the lawyer to do it, and you gotta have a lawyer willing to take the case. So, I'm really curious to see if we're going to get at that point. Unfortunately, I do need to wrap up. Like I said, I'm at a public space. I've got the room reserved for only so long, and man, I'd love to stay in here because I feel like this conversation could still pop off, and I'm not going to be here for it. But
That's
thank
all
you
right.
for having me on the show tonight.
Yeah, I get it. You're traveling, and I appreciate you making time for it. And I hope you have a great rest of your night. I will see you next Monday, brother.
All right, thank you
Cheers.
so much, man.
Yep.
Take it easy.
Peace. All right, Hive. Well, I am going to go ahead. I'm going to end the stream on X. Okay. I'm going to stay on YouTube here. We've only been going for about an hour and 15 minutes, so don't go anywhere. All right. There's a lot of opinions in here. There's a lot of opinions in here. I don't know the approach to take to it. You know what I mean? My brain cannot stick to a theory. Pop says, no X, bro. Stay off drugs. Yeah. Well, I will say that the second that I got on X, out of nowhere, I've had more people that are just shitting on anything and everything that I do in a matter of hours. So you're not wrong, man. But no, look, so many people have opinions on this. I wanted to put the theme of the night, respect my authority, because if you can't agree on what happened or what didn't happen, so many people have a common denominator, and that is what happened to Bryan Kohberger, given the evidence, given the circumstances, given everything that has been said about him in the media. It's not right. It's not right, and it's false, and it's fake. And you got a bunch of people in here, not in here per se, but you got a bunch of people that are following it that they refuse to look at anything else. A lot of people are so close to realizing the truth. There's something in them that says, God, man, this just doesn't make sense. And then instead of just leaning into that, they go a completely different direction. Okay? Something has to give. DA and I, about 15, 20 minutes before he just popped off there, I was going to say this. He had talked about starting a GoFundMe for lawyers and for somebody to go and, put Brett Payne on the stand, whatever it is. I am confused from, if I was a lawyer, which I'm not, okay? I'm clearly not a lawyer. But I do know a thing about believing in yourself, believing in and trusting your gut, believing in your talents, your ability. If I was a lawyer and I looked into this case and I'm trying to make a name for myself, I'm taking this case. I'm taking this case. I'm putting my name on the line, and I'm betting on the fact that the documents and the camera footage, the people like Brett Payne, all the investigators, and Taylor's testimony, the literal transcripts. When did you know about Bryan Kohberger? How did you get his DNA? When did you get his DNA? Can you put him in the house? It would be the easiest gig for a lawyer. And I saw Psycho Stench say it could also bury your career. Really? I don't think it would. I think it would boost your career no matter what. Because if you do a halfway decent job, and this is not against Ann Taylor, I'm saying now, you have the public, way more people in the public willing to talk on behalf of you. You run a PR stint. You actually get people in the media to start talking about this. Can we get, like, what was that, a month ago? Speaking of Pav, I think it was about a month ago, he had said something about, like, we need somebody with a set, somebody who's got the ability to talk about this. And I had said, we need to ask 3 simple questions, and we need to run with that. Can you put him in the house? Is the DNA exclusive to Bryan Kohberger? And does he have intent? Can you put him in the house? No. Well, where is the DNA found? In the house. Well, is that exclusive to Bryan Kohberger? No. Well, did Bryan Kohberger have intent? No. He's looked into everything that any other criminology student would have. Am I missing something here? People are saying you'd have to have a pit bull attorney. I think you just have to have an attorney that's not soft and afraid of the media. Like Ann Taylor stepped right in. Did this hurt Ann Taylor's career? Or are people now saying Ann Taylor was in between a rock and a hard place, and you go back and you look at what she did and what she said? Right. Right. And you know what? Dude, Big Amish Media, I don't know why. Your name, it seems to be on the screen whenever it's scrolling by. This is such a good point. If you fear losing your career for what you believe you are fighting till the end, or are you looking at all angles to win? Okay, so the way that I read that is this. If you're afraid of losing your career, but you believe in it with your entirety, through and through, your entire soul believes this, do you really lose your career? It's just tough. It's tough because, as I've said many times, this system counts on exhaustion. This entire legal system counts on exhaustion. In general, whether people have to say, we have to chip in to get Bryan Kohberger a lawyer, I can't believe there's not a line out the door. I cannot believe it. And people will say, well, that's because he pled. Well, okay. Again, good thing you're not a lawyer. He admitted it, bro. Good thing you're not a lawyer. Have you noticed that anybody who proves wrongful convictions has a contrarian thinking brain? Seriously. Do you guys remember that guy who was accused and charged with murder until somebody randomly and by a God-given chance, this man was seen on a random, like, Will Ferrell Dodgers game movie? and he was in the stands with his son doing exactly what he said. Do you know how big of a stretch that dude had to prove his innocence? And it worked out because he finally had a lawyer that said, you know what? Maybe there is camera footage of it. Bob says, bro, the tides are starting to turn. You're fighting the good fight. Have a great night to you and everyone. Well, thank you for popping in here, brother man. Right back at you. Right back at you. The tides are turning. I'm not going to get tired of talking about this. I've been talking about this for way too long to get tired about this. You know what? Let me say this. The tides are turning, and there's going to come a point where big names, they're also going to flip. Rather than lose our shit, oh my God, did you see Nancy Grace, Ashley Banfield? They changed their mind. We're winning. No. Fuck that. No. No. You could say, oh, well, it's going to wake normies up. Guys, at a certain point, great, cool, whatever. Do you believe they really changed their mind, or did they have a director tell them, hey, we got effed over. Our ratings plummeted because you took this stance. Okay, so no. When that happens, instead of just letting them go along with that narrative, we need to pile on. Why did you change your mind? What did you see? Make them say it. Make them say it in detail. Make them prove that they believe it. Like, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I don't think that Bryan Kohberger was ever given a fair trial. Bryan Kohberger was a victim of being convicted by the mainstream media. And if you believe that what happened to Bryan is justice, I just really hope you never, ever, ever, ever get into even a fraction of the position that he is in. Because I bet you'd cry yourself to sleep like a little bitch. People like Westerly Wander, Jeff H. I can't think of any more trolls off the top of my head. Viviana. All of them. It doesn't make any sense. You're not getting a reaction anymore. You're inspiring and motivating people like myself, people in the Hive, who have been screaming this from the rooftop. And by you saying those stupid comments, it only empowers us. And maybe that's your goal. Maybe that's your goal. I find it hard to believe that you people are that stupid. We can talk theories. We wear our tinfoil hats. We try to connect dots, but all you do is clap along like a little simp MSNPC to the mainstream media. And I'm so glad that my brain doesn't work like yours. It seems like a very boring life. And cheers to everybody in the Hive that is stuck here in this channel, that is tuned into other people that believe in thinking critically, thinking contrarily. They're not afraid to speak their mind. They're not afraid to say what they're thinking out loud and fight for what they believe. In a world where everybody can fight for what they believe, God forbid we say, can you put Bryan Kohberger inside of the house? Now, we can admit we do not have evidence that Bryan Kohberger was inside the house or has connection to any of their victims. And with that, Hive, I hope you all have a great night. I will see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky. on by. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life.